Hello, everyone. So, question of the day. If your calendar is empty this week and it's making you anxious, I have a confession to make. Lately I have been experiencing something that is completely new to me. And by lately, I mean in the past year, where when my calendar or my schedule isn't as busy, I am feeling peace, I am feeling calmness. No chaos, no rushing, simply calm. And, if I am honest with you all about this whole experience, my initial reaction was terror. I was terrified because I was trying to figure out what am I missing out on? What should I be doing? And when I shared this scenario with a colleague, someone pointed out to me that You know, oftentimes early in our careers or in operational roles or in chaotic or unpredictable environments, we are taught that in order to be safe, we have to either be busy or look busy. And this could even be something that goes into childhood, but I'm just trying to stick with the workplace. And so today we are unpacking this busy is safe trap. Why does constant motion, how that leads to, it's more of a survival mechanism, and how to finally learn how to contribute in a way that creates progress, contribute in a way that increases engagement and creates workplace value. So that is our focus for today. Welcome in, everyone. For those of you who are joining me live, or for those of you who are catching the replay, I am Lapora Lindsay, and I speak about all things workplace value and engagement. So let me know, number one, where you're tuning in from. I would love to hear where you're tuning in from. If you're catching this live or even watching the replay, I love to hear from you. And the second thing is answer this on a scale of 1 to 10. How anxious do you get when your schedule is blank? How anxious do you get when your schedule is blank? When you don't have anything on that schedule, absolutely nothing, even if it's for an hour, on a scale from 1 to 10, what does that look like to you? And as you're thinking about that, I have to admit for myself, y'all, it used to be, oh my gosh, I missed something. I'm not doing something, but I found it to be different. So I used to be a 10. Now, because I'm no guru, I don't change overnight. I give myself about a 3 to 5, just depending on just depending on what the day is. So on a scale from 1 to 10, when your schedule is blank, how anxious are you about that schedule? All right, y'all. So as you're thinking about that, as you prepare to share about that, when we talk about, shifting from the gap to the gain, which is looking at shifting from all of the things that we have accomplished versus looking at all of the things that we have yet to do, or when we talk about why people disengage at work, we have to focus in on our origin stories. So if you started your career at the bottom of the food chain, or you've navigated, highly unpredictable environments, that is going to influence how you show up at work. That is going to influence your idea that you need to be busy in order to be productive. And there is this unwritten rule that if I am invisible, or if my work isn't something that is seen widely, then I'm a target. I'm in trouble. I am someone who can't get things done. And then it leads to overextending ourselves, because when we overextend ourselves, then we are safe. And when we think about it this way, busyness becomes a shield. It is something that we we want to be busy because it makes us seem like we're irreplaceable. it makes us feel like we have the opportunity to prove our worth. And if you've watched any of my previous live streams, you'll know that there's two different types of worth. And self worth is something that we can't prove. Each of us have it, and we have it to own and to share. But then there is workplace value. And this is something that is conditional. But because of the environments or because of what we've seen, we believe that constant motion equals productivity. And what I've come to realize through my own personal experience and through conversations with others is that it is more so of a nervous system response versus a this actually needs to happen. And it wasn't until recently, that past year when I reached a moment of my schedule is blank and I am calm and I flagged it as, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, I'm in danger, that I had to realize that I was addicted to the safety of stress, not the work itself. I was addicted to the idea that to stay busy meant that I was doing what I needed to do. Mind you, busy does not always mean creating progress. Busy does not always mean being productive. It means consistently doing something, but that something doesn't always lead to progress. And when we think about it that way, here is the workplace tragedy, right? It is that organizations reward this type of behavior. We talk about systems, pushing high performers into lower performance. I had a guest on my live stream a couple of weeks back, Linda Clark. I definitely recommend you go back and watch that episode, where one of the things she was talking about is how we have these employees that work within the 99% or the 90%, where they're giving their all. And then the feedback from supervisors is, well, here's how you can improve. But they're already at 99%. They're already in the top 10%. And this, what we're talking about today, is something that also falls into that same category when we are measuring contribution based on the energy of got to get something done, that frantic energy, basing it on sending that email. So what are some unwritten rules? What do they look like? You may be that person, or you may have seen that person that you keep an email in drafts just to send it at 7 p.m. Don't tell me if that's you. But you do that because you want to be known as the person who is always sending emails late at night because you're working, because you're staying busy, or overcomplicating simple tasks so it can make it look like you took all day, because you believe that in doing so, that solidifies your position because you are busy. Saying yes to a project that you really don't have time for, but you're saying yes because you want to be seen as someone who is a team player. And we're doing all of these things and burning ourselves out. You're burning yourself out just to maintain the illusion of being safe. So, how do we unlearn this? How do we accept the calm feeling, or the feeling of not, without feeling guilty, without feeling terrified? Because it doesn't help just to know that it exists. And I admit, yes. So there's three things that I want to share with you. So get your pens and pencils and notepads ready. So the first thing to keep in mind is to audit the impulse. And this is the next time you feel the urgent need to open up your laptop or to check an email outside of your normal working hours. Ask yourself if this is actually a workplace emergency, or if this is your nervous system seeking safety, trying to secure your spot. So that's the first part. The second part is to protect the white space. And for this one, it is thinking about whenever meetings get canceled, or thinking about whenever you have something already on your calendar. Typically, it's a meeting or something else, and it gets canceled. It's no longer, maybe there's a task or a deadline that's no longer needed. You don't fill that with busy work. Treat that as a high value asset for you to maybe strategize, for you to rest, or maybe even get some deep thinking done. So protect that white space. The last one, this one is just for the leaders. If you lead people, this is about changing what the metric is. If you lead people, branch out of focusing on just praising employees whenever they are the ones that are responding in Slack or responding in Teams or doing the things that are visible, and also start celebrating employees who get their work done effectively. They log off on time and they're protecting their peace. Doing this creates an environment through small behaviors where everyone starts to realize, hey, it's not just the people who are working that are getting praised, but it's also the people who have some type of balance or some type of integration as well. That is really going to help with creating that environment. Many things that I talk about are systems, workplace systems, and how can we create those types of systems. And one way to do that is, what are we rewarding? What are we acknowledging? What are we incentivizing? And so to praise someone for taking breaks and to have that balance is so critical to creating that type of environment. All right, y'all. As we prepare to wrap up here, I would love to hear from you in the comments, whether you're watching live or catching the replay. What is one busy habit you know you need to stop doing this week, or just one busy habit that you have? I know for me, as I was talking about, typically during the summertime, it is just an organically, for me, a low key time. And I try to feel it with different types of projects that require me to speak or speaking engagements. But for me, it is about taking that time, not that I'll turn them down, but taking that time and focusing in on, how do I develop this content? What are different strategies that I can create? So essentially a mid-year review for my work. So that is something that I would drop in the comment. I don't see any comments here, but I would love to see them throughout the week. If you're watching this, I would love to hear from you. What's one busy habit that you know you need to drop in order to protect your calm? So, as we're preparing to close, I want you to remember that your past experiences shape how you show up to work today. Remember, we all have an origin story. And when it comes to this busyness trap, you don't have to be frantic to be valuable. You don't have to constantly be in motion to create value or impact. Value and workplace value doesn't come just because someone is constantly moving. When it does happen that way, we end up creating an environment that is based on being performative, which is just for show, versus performant, which is what creates progress. So this busy is safe mindset is just one example of what happens in the workplace when we reward optics over outcomes. And it is a system of a much larger breakdown in workplace value dynamics and engagement. And we have the opportunity to address it by paying attention to it before it becomes a bigger risk. And this is exactly the type of work that I do on corporate stages and at leadership conferences when organizations bring me in to speak. We don't just talk about wellness or stress management. We solve the operational systems at all levels and all positions. And my keynotes focus in on, how can we bring engagement and workplace value into the workplace, empowering frontline teams and to take ownership before they even get a title. I'm officially booking my keynotes for keynote stages for 2027 and leadership workshops. If you are planning an annual event, a conference, or retreat, or an executive development series, let's talk about how the people in your organization can benefit from the trainings that I offer. You can type speaker in the comments, or you can feel free to DM me the word speaker, and myself or my team will be sure to drop you that information soonest, so that way we can get this conversation started. All right, y'all. That is all that I have for this week. Thank you so much for joining me during this week's live. Let's choose impact over busyness this week. And remember to stay adding value. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.